I've been playing World of Warships Legends for about half of a decade at this point, and 5 years is enough time to reach two pretty solid conclusions. Conclusion number one: the vast majority of the World of Warships Legends player base is composed of casuals, whose enjoyment of this game only extends insofar as they enjoy having big ships with big guns that shoot at other big ships and cause big explosions. I think that's the level of depth and enjoyment that the vast majority of the player base is engaging with, I guess you could say. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I'm not here to tell you how you should enjoy this game. I'm certainly not here to tell you that you should take it more seriously and engage in the strategies and tactics that this game is designed to allow. I find more enjoyment in doing that than simply seeing big explosions and big damage numbers. But not everybody's the same, and that's just a fact that we'll have to accept. Of course, it does have some unfortunate implications, the main one being that a lot of games, or a lot of matches rather, in World of Warships Legends end in blowouts, where the results are not even close and the victory is decided within the first 5 minutes. There's a lot of those games lately, there always have been, and they are frustrating to play, regardless of whether you're on the winning side. Well, maybe some people enjoy winning in a blowout. I don't. I want it to be more competitive and more interesting. But it sucks either way, in my opinion. However, it happens often enough that you get a game where it's not decided in the first 5 minutes, but is instead decided in the final 30 seconds. And those are the kind of matches that keep me coming back to World of Warships Legends day after day and week after week, year after year. That's the kind of match I've got for you today in the Tier 8 IJN Gunboat Destroyer Kitakaze, which is probably one of the best destroyers at Tier 8 and offers a fearsome amount of DPM with its guns. In fact, the only damage we're going to do in this battle comes courtesy of the guns. We're not going to land a single torpedo, and that is frankly just the way I like it. I very much prefer gun-focused torpedoes, or gun-focused destroyers to torpedo-focused ones. I know a lot of people are the opposite, and I think that's mostly because torpedoes offer big knockout alpha punches, and that's what a lot of people like. Battleships seem to be the most popular class in this game, and their guns also offer similar damage numbers with big knockout punches. It's sort of the inverse of what torpedoes do. However, torpedoes are unreliable for a couple of reasons, and they also involve getting some luck to some degree. That's mostly down to the fact that torpedoes are slower than shells. If we want to aim at this Tirpitz, for example, and shoot at him, it's going to take about 8 seconds for our shells to reach. Whereas if this island wasn't between us and we could launch torpedoes, well, he's 10 kilometers away. Our torpedoes could hit him if he continues to push in, but by the time we launch them from this point, they're going to take about a minute to travel all the way over and reach the Tirpitz. That's more than enough time for him to change his speed or shift his rudder one way or the other and completely avoid the torpedoes. Guns, though, will offer you more consistent damage. And easier to get damage, too. You'll just have to do it over time rather than all at once. And guns are also what you need to counter enemy destroyers, which, if you're going to play a destroyer and your goal is to win rather than to farm damage, then you want to have an efficient tool that will allow you to deal with enemy destroyers easily. And for that, you need good guns. Kitakaze has some of the best guns in the game for that. Just ask the first Velos, who goes down as our first kill of the game. Second Velos is under fire from our main battery as well. He's also taking fire from a couple of our teammates, so he's prompted to smoke up. We can't really hit him blind in the smoke screen. Didn't quite have the aim point down right, but that's okay. We've secured the Alpha Cap, and now it's time to make our way into Bravo, despite the fact that our friendly battleship over there, the Giuseppe Verdi, is asking for our help. Of course, we're not going to acquiesce to that, because it would be completely useless for us to turn around and try to chase that kiting enemy battleship into his spawn, like Giuseppe Verdi is. It's a BA Tirpitz, As long as Giuseppe Verdi doesn't get close to it, well, hopefully he can come out on top because we're not going to be able to help him. It would be useless for us to go after that battleship when the enemy team is busy eliminating our flank on the other side of the map and securing the Charlie cap, which we spawned in control of. We don't have the Bravo cap yet, but we want to secure that so that each team has 2 caps. We don't want to let a situation develop where the enemy team is able to hold more caps than we are for any amount of time. That's going to allow them to overtake us on points, and for the moment, we are ahead. Well, actually, we're about dead even, but as soon as the Velos goes down, thanks to the Giuseppe Verdi, who seems to have thought better of kiting or pushing into the enemy spawn after kiting Battleship, he takes out the Velos, and we're ahead on points for the moment. We've also secured the Bravo cap, but the Schroeder takes down the Tirpitz B, and now the enemy team is ahead on points. They've sunk 2 larger capital ships, 2 battleships and a cruiser, compared to us sinking 2 destroyers and a battleship. Destroyers are probably the most valuable class in this game, but not in terms of points for sinking them. They offer you the lowest amount. And so the enemy team is ahead of us on points, and they're going to stay ahead until we either sink some more ships or take some more caps. Taking caps is not going to be possible. The enemy team, aside from that 1 battleship over there by the Alpha flank, is completely concentrated in this part of the map between Bravo, or rather between Charlie and Delta. So what we're going to need to do is sink some ships. And of course, the Kitakazi has the ability to do that against the République. We are taking some shots from the Schroeder and the Atlantico secondaries, which we don't want to do. Both of those are very dangerous to us, so we want to put ourselves behind this island and potentially smoke up here. République is broadside to at least 2 battleships on our team, but they're busy dealing with the battleship over at Alpha, so nobody's actually going to shoot at this guy. He's able to deploy a heal and regain some of his HP, but he's broadside to us. And Kitakazi's AP, as you can see, is pretty effective against broadside anything, really. We should be able to take out this République pretty quickly, but some of the shells are hitting the belt armor and shattering, so we have to periodically adjust the aim to dial them into the upper belt armor, which is only 32, and the superstructure, which is less than that. We lose vision of République momentarily, but he shoots. He takes out our last remaining destroyer teammate, who I don't actually know how he got spotted, but he did, and I think République sunk him. We'll avenge him, though, by getting our 2nd kill of the match on the République using the excellent AP of the Kitakazi. And I'd love to stay in this smoke screen and continue to farm, but we're not going to have any vision of the Schroeder to actually farm him, and he's pushing in. He's a dangerous cruiser, too, because he's one with sonar. So if we sit in that smoke screen and allow him to approach, eventually he's going to spot us, and then his secondaries are going to shred us to oblivion. I'm not worried about his main guns, but the secondaries are a real threat, especially to destroyers. We launched torpedoes at him, but this is a perfect demonstration of what I mean when I say guns are more reliable than torpedoes and offer, or rather don't need as much luck. The Schroeder avoids all 10 of our torpedoes. I think we have 10, or do we have 12? Kitakazi might launch 6 each. Anyway, he avoids all of them by simply changing his direction and sailing the other way. You're not going to do that against a withering hail of gunfire, but you absolutely can against torpedoes, especially IJN torpedoes, which tend to spread out a lot and are spotted from very far away before you spec into skills that allow you to see torpedoes further out or use consumables like sonar that help you see them even further out. Schroeder is causing some big trouble for our Giuseppe Verdi, who has, I guess, taken out that battleship that was kiting away and is now coming to rejoin the action. The problem is he's got no HP left, and the Schroeder's secondaries appear to be shredding him. In fact, Schroeder is going to take out the Giuseppe Verdi, and in the process, he is going to secure himself a mighty nice and somewhat impressive, well, maybe more than somewhat impressive, but this is going to be his Kraken shot. There goes the Giuseppe Verdi. GG to the Schroeder for achieving that Kraken. Nice work. But we're not going to let you win the game if we have anything to say about it. We're going to park here momentarily. We want to try to keep vision of the Schroeder, but I was assuming he was close enough to the friendly Richelieu behind us to still be seen. So I was hoping to put myself behind the island and farm the Schroeder a little bit as the Richelieu shoots. But, of course, we are the only ones spotting the Schroeder, and he didn't shoot back at the Richelieu with his main gun, so he goes dark as we go around the island. Bit of a problem for our teammate. We're going to reverse and try to reacquire vision of the Schroeder. Richelieu should be able to take out that guy very quickly, but for some reason that is completely inexplicable or unknown to me, the Richelieu is turning around and kiting away. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that there is often an appropriate time to kite away in a battleship, and half the time I feel like most battleship players don't know that and never do that. They simply push in, even when there's no gain for them, and then they sink, and ultimately they don't help their team at all. So there is a time to kite away, but it's probably not when there's less than 4 minutes left in the battle and you're at full HP and all you've got is a Schroeder with just over 5,000 HP to deal with. I mean, to be fair, there are two enemy battleships that were heading from the Charlie Cap to the Delta side, so if the Richelieu pushed too far in, it's possible that he could find himself outnumbered in a fight with two battleships and a cruiser, and he might lose a lot of HP or even sink in that scenario. But still, the enemy team is far ahead of us on points, and the only way we're going to win is by sinking all of them. So I try to get some damage on the Schroeder with the guns. We light a fire, but of course he's got DCP available, so he puts it out instantly. Still, though, he should be at perilously low HP at this point, but we cannot continue to provide vision for a battleship who is not going to shoot at targets. Instead, we decide that it's going to be a better use of our time to get into the Bravo cap. Looks like the Richelieu is somewhat unhappy about that, but I don't know what to tell him. Maybe shoot at the Schroeder when I've got him spotted, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, it's not that guy's fault that we're in the situation we're in. He's just one guy on his team, so there's no need to pick on him or be too mean. In any case, we're in the Bravo cap now. We at least want to stop the enemy from accruing points, and we want to deal as much damage as we can to Georgia, who is presenting broadside to the Richelieu. Unfortunately, the French are not exactly known for consistency in their accuracy, so Richelieu doesn't get a very good hit, and the enemy Atlantico, I think it was, takes out the friendly Marlborough, who did well to survive up until this point, and luckily got a fire on the enemy Atlantico that is continuing to burn and actually takes that battleship out. The friendly Marlborough nets himself the Arsonist medal and the It's Just a Flesh Wound in the process, and comes in actually clutch for our team. That just leaves the Schroeder with no HP and the Georgia with low HP. We're about to secure the cap, and so we at least are even with the enemy team in terms of that. They're still accruing points from Charlie and Delta at a pretty high rate, and there's not much time left in this battle, less than 2 minutes. Ideally, we'd be in a position to spot the Schroeder for the Richelieu, but there is literally nothing to stop the Richelieu from pushing in around that island and sinking the Schroeder in one salvo. He's also still firing at the Georgia, who I think we are spotting, or maybe he's spotting the Georgia. I honestly can't tell. We're caught by the Schroeder's sonar, though. There he is. He's got no HP left, thanks to our little bit of farming with the main battery guns. And as soon as Richelieu spots him, he should go down. But that leaves the Georgia left alive, and he's got about 20,000 HP or so left. So we're going to have to farm him. Luckily, he can't see us, but we can see him. We net the Confederate medal there. We've got a few fires burning on Georgia. And of course, the HE shells do a lot of damage in very quick succession, so we're able to farm this Georgia down very, very quickly. That's the power of the Kitakazi's guns. He shoots at us with HE, which is a good choice, but I think only one shell hits, and it's not enough to take us out. Instead, we finish him off with the incredible DPM of the Kitakazi, and we manage to come out on top in this battle, thanks entirely to the gun power of this excellent Tier 8 destroyer, which you can get for free because it's a tech tree. I think it's one of my favorite ships in the game, to be honest with you. 3,000 base XP, 3 kills, pretty good battle. One of the battles that keeps me playing this game for years and years on end. This is exactly what I want to see, and exactly what I hope you want to see too. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.